The ATP Finals is the biggest competition in tennis, other than the Grand Slams, of course, but in terms of competition, it's unrivaled. From the players to the event organizers to the crazy drama that went down on and off the court, let's break it down. Who were the biggest winners and losers from Turin? Starting with the obvious, it's pretty clear that Djokovic was the biggest winner coming out of Turin. With the fast surface a bit reminiscent of the 90s, it makes you feel like Nole still would have been dominant even if he played decades earlier. Back-to-back titles cap off a remarkable season. Honestly, I think most people expected him to win it coming into the tournament, but maybe not under the circumstances in which he did it. Not winning any match in straight sets, barely making it out of the group stage before coming unplayable in the semis and the finals. It was epic, but we're not going to dwell on it too much because we already covered it in our last video, so let's focus instead on someone who had the season of his life. How can you not love this guy? What a season he had. He's the youngest Italian man to ever win a Masters title, doing so at 22 years old. The highest ranked Italian, the first Italian man to reach the ATP Finals, 6 consecutive wins against top 5 players and 9 in total this season, 8 consecutive wins against top 10 players, 4 titles this year, a first win over Djokovic. Despite his obvious talent, Sinner has had to work hard to get to where he is today, and I don't want to believe that there are many people out there who wouldn't root for this guy. If you've been following Sinner for a while, you know that this wasn't a fluke. He's been a work in progress for the past 3 years, and it seems like his day has finally come on the ATP Tour. He's the real deal. Daniil Medvedev and the other top players all believe that Sinner is going to win slams and be the world #1 pretty soon, and I don't think he's too far away from a slam at least.
If he plays like this, like he played last week's, all the time, he's gonna have slams, #1. Then it comes to how many weeks, how many slams and stuff like this.
But honestly, what surprised me more than Sinner's tennis was his mentality throughout the tournament. You could argue that he shot himself in the foot by giving Novak a second chance by going all out against Holger Rune when he didn't need to, but I'm not quite buying that. What I saw was a champion who gained more respect by showing his competitive nature and who didn't back down in front of his home crowd. It doesn't matter whether he won the tournament or not. There were still no guarantees that he would have beaten maybe Rune or Alcaraz in the final. Besides, he had the added incentive of 200 ranking points, $400,000 in prize money, not to mention the support of the home crowd in Italy behind him, but if you disagree with my take, I'd love to hear you out in the comments. I don't know if he had the conversation with his team, and we might not know what Darren Cahill said to him. The truth is that there's a broad spectrum between tanking and not competing. Tanking is just disrespectful to the sport, but the truth is that Sinner could have used this opportunity to maybe workshop a part of his game, try out a new tactic, and maybe just play it safe in general while putting on a show for the Italian crowd. Sinner had a lot of options, and it wouldn't have been the worst thing on earth to try and win while maybe playing a little bit conservatively. After all, the match was a dead rubber, and he didn't owe Novak anything. Already through to the semis, Daniil Medvedev wasn't at his lethal best against Carlitos either, and Casper Ruud admitted to taking his foot off the gas against Rafa last year. But going all out just kind of tells you the mentality Sinner and the Italians have in general. It was a sight to behold. On a side note, what do you think Rafa would have done if he had the chance to eliminate Novak and avoid facing him in a hard-court final? I'd also love to see Daniil as one of the winners in Turin. He saw some redemption from last year where he lost all 3 matches in the ATP Finals, and although he lost to both Alcaraz and Sinner this time, he shouldn't be too ashamed of his performance at the tournament. 5 titles this year, 66 wins, and the US Open final all reflect a great season for Medi. Who do we have next on our winners list? If there's anything we've learned from Alcaraz this year, it's that he can play indoors, outdoors, fast courts, slow courts, literally anywhere. At the beginning of the tournament, it seemed like Carlitos was the pro-max version of Rafa on indoor hard courts. He expressed his frustration by saying this after his first round match loss to Sasha.
This surface is the fastest on the year, that's for sure. I don't know why they put this kind of surface.
But at the end of the day, Alcaraz redeemed himself and put up a strong showing before meeting Djokovic, who was levels above him in the semis. And for those of you comparing Carlitos to Rafa, here's what Novak says from his first-hand experience.
Do you see Rafa in Carlos maybe?
No, I know. They are different players, but in terms of maybe a great occasion and the feeling of, the intensity on the court that he brings, yeah, there is some similarity, but he's a completely different player from Rafa.
Carlos is super good, and there's no doubt about that. but the tournament organizers are just as good. Just kidding, of course. The atmosphere in Turin was unbelievable, and I feel like they did a great job putting the tournament together. It was one of the most entertaining tournaments I can remember outside of the Grand Slams. Great city, electric atmosphere. The crowd loves and appreciates tennis and has already broken viewership records of the event. When you compare the quality and organization to the shambolic display at the WTA Finals in Cancun, it really makes you want to appreciate the tournament organizers even more. There are even rumors circulating about a possible extension of the hosting agreement from 2025 to 2027. Personally, I'm down for it, but let me know if there are any other factors I'm not considering. And if you're already on our newsletter, you'll find our hot takes, event recaps, match highlights, even immersive trivia to keep you going throughout the week. And if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Click the link down below. Now, let's talk about the losers, and I'd bet you know who comes first. Before we make an objective argument about Tsitsipas's debacle in Turin, let's have a listen to what he said after his retirement against Rune.
My apologies to all the fans and the crowd that came to support me today and watch the match. I'm gutted that I wasn't able to finish the match. And it's a shame also not to give that spot to someone else to at least try and do something with it. My doctors and the countless visits that I had in the last few days suggested that I play and gave me the green light to go and try it for myself. So unfortunately, I felt terrible on the court, and I did what I could do in the best possible way to be ready and fit for this match, but it didn't work out for me. And I hate retiring from matches. I'm not the kind of person that likes leaving mid-match.
Not only did the first alternate, Hubert Hurkacz, get screwed with no chance to qualify, Tsitsipas's decision almost ruined Novak's title hopes. But again, he said he got the go-ahead to play, and that's what he did. As an elite athlete, it's totally understandable that you'd want to push yourself to the limit when there's a lot at stake, but you also get the feeling that Tsitsipas just should have known better. On the other hand, he really didn't owe Hubie anything. Hubie didn't make the top 8, so his best hope was just to even get a shot. Considering the kind of year Tsitsipas has had on and off the court, which could be called disappointing by his standards, his withdrawal from Turin just capped off a poor season, and it didn't earn him many fans. But let me know your thoughts. What do you make of the whole situation? Should Tsitsipas be criticized for withdrawing in the manner that he did? Unfortunately for Rublev, he had a disastrous campaign in Turin, losing all 3 of his matches, ending his season with a 56-26 record. He seemed to get easily discouraged when things weren't going his way, and he just couldn't conjure his winning spark that saw him make impressive runs in many tournaments all season. But the truth is, as the world number 5, there is really no shame in losing to the world number 2 and number 3, but you get the feeling that he could have done much better. Honestly, I can't say I enjoyed the crazy speculation scenario that played out because I've never done so many permutations in my life. Heading into the final stage of the round-robin matches, the possibilities were endless for the top 3 players in each group. Literally, all of them could qualify in top or second positions, and most of them, I think, except Medvedev, were not sure of making it to the next round. I think the format of the ATP Finals isn't bad, but you gotta wonder if there's more to be done that can prevent some of these circumstances from playing out. Let me give you a few examples. Zverev wins 2 matches but fails to qualify. Novak has to face a fresh, in-form Hurkacz, while Rune literally gets a bye. The rules of the tournament when the players are tied. Imagine having to deal with this or this as a casual fan. In the end, the tournament format is unique and interesting, but is there another way to do it? Personally, I'm on the fence. What a way to end the season. Well, on a lighter note, we got to see the Kuroda boys do their thing in support of Sinner, and we also got to know a little bit more about the players on a personal level, like the one who eats the most and all of that. I also found it weird that the cameras quickly turned away when Carlitos threw his racket away and had some emotional moments, and literally no one talked about it. It certainly would have been a big talking point if it were Nole. Also, we could talk about the ATP schedule, which more and more players are complaining about. As much as we'd love to watch our favorite players play every day, that just wouldn't be healthy. Tournaments are spread out throughout the year in such a way that ATP players only get 4 weeks off. That's probably like the shortest off-season in any sport. As a top player, you participate in 4 Grand Slams, at least 8 out of 9 Masters 1000s, and a couple of 500s and 250s, adding up to about 19 tournaments that count. From a holistic standpoint, such an aggressive schedule could hamper the players, but what's the way forward, really? Is it adding more weeks to the off-season or fewer tournaments? The truth is that the schedule punishes those that make it deep into a tournament, and we don't have to look too far to find an example. Carlos Alcaraz being case in point towards the later stages of the season. The truth is that tennis isn't just a cruel sport, but a difficult business. And this video covers every single difficulty a player faces when signing up for the sport. Yeah, you should watch this video if you haven't seen it yet. Personally, I think it's one of our best.